Israel is fortunate to have just Iran as their neighbor, but we have China as our neighbor. And they're ready, they have mass manufacturing, and even today, 99% of the components for a small drone or small altitude drones, what I can say is less than 400 feet, which are mostly used for civilian use cases like be it agriculture, surveillance, and stuff, comes from only China. Since there is a big market where Elon Musk wants to enter, that is something I'm gifted, I'm here. And despite the challenges, God has given me that intention to serve the country, and I feel it as a great opportunity. So somehow we'll overcome. Right. But we have just started off. Right. The thought itself is scary to Westerners, and that will be scary to China. Yes. Because if these guys, slaves, start to think on their own, where are we going to sell our arms? Yeah. Whom are we going to sell our arms and make millions of dollars? तो जैसे एक लॉकहीड बैठा है, नॉर्थरॉप ग्रुप बैठा है, ये सब कहाँ जाएंगे? तो हाईली सोफिस्टिकेटेड स्टेल्थ टेक्नोलॉजीज दे डोंट गिव इट टू एनीबडी, तो हमको भी नहीं देंगे, तो हम क्या स्टेट ऑफ आर्ट की बात करेंगे? तो वी हैव टू स्टार्ट ऑफ, दैट्स वेयर वी थॉट लेट अस स्टार्ट डूइंग इट हियर. I don't see all these big giants who have been trading all these years could do something for India. Rafael, what did we do? We just traded, buying. So there are certain Indian companies who would participate in the tender, probably buy it and trade it to the government of India. That's what we have been doing all these days instead of spending into R&D. So I watch for startups today because they're doing fantastic, lot of startups in defense. And it is again sad to see that there's not even $1 billion company in defense in India. It might be a collective mistake of the industry, investors, government and everything. Yeah. They are giving certain grants to startups. If you ask me, make an aircraft in 50 to 60 crores, but you are buying each aircraft at 1,000 crores and you're giving R&D fund of 50, 60 crores.
Wonderful.
That's not possible.
Namaste, welcome to another edition of my sit-down sessions with wonderful people that I keep coming across. Today I have Suhas Tejaskanda with me, who's a founder of a drone manufacturing company. This conversation would have been apt for Sangam Talks business, but because of the strategic nature of his work, I thought let's actually make it in Sangam Talks itself. So before I start and give a long introduction to what he's doing, let's actually watch a small snippet video.
The country's first indigenously built compact unmanned aerial vehicle has taken flight.
भारत के पहले स्वदेशी मानव रहित बम वर्षक की टेस्टिंग हुई है.
बॉम्बर UAV ने पहली उड़ान भरी है.
भारत के पास आ गया वो बारूद जिससे दुश्मन का खात्मा 100% तय.
When Turkey told that we do not give the technology to India, that moved us a lot here. Now with the warfare dynamics changing and the war becoming completely unmanned, the prominence of unmanned drones or high altitude loitering munitions have come up today.
How many more sacrifices do we want to do? Switch to the unmanned warfare, AI warfare.
So today imagine there is a crisis. Most of the players that you talk about, there is a dependency on various players. But now with this aircraft, imagine today there is a crisis. We can mass manufacture this and help the country. Our entire subsystems are made in India.
So this was the Maiden flight. After that, a lot of other flights are also done where you can see the very stable performance of aircraft. I'll share that videos also if you want to.
So as you saw, we didn't even know, most of us don't know that there are companies in India who can privately make unmanned aerial vehicles. And Suhas here has done the almost impossible. Many of you may not know that even Pakistan has its own drone, but India does not have. Indian government and Indian government-owned HAL and BHEL and DRDO, we don't have indigenous drone technology. We don't have our indigenous jet engines. The much touted Tejas that we manufacture now, and thank God we manufacture it and there's momentum in the last few years. The engines are GE engines. Without the engines, we are nothing. If we go on war where US is not on our side, we'll be screwed, essentially. Thank you, Suhas, for your work. And you were basically saying, I'm picking on two things from that video. One, Turkey not giving us tech, and second, you mentioned how many sacrifices should we make before we move our technology. Let's talk about this first. What do you really mean? Is the nature of war going to change?
Yes, so the dynamics are changing very, very fast. And we were talking about the unmanned warfare and the net-centric warfare from a long time. That's where my proficiency is, and have certain protocols in place and patents.
Net-centric warfare means what?
So when there is a war that is completely unmanned or a AI-based platform where every element of warfare, for example, it can be a drone, it can be aircraft, it can be a ship, or it can be a tank, anything. So across the borders, some thousands of kilometers, when you have a complete unmanned warfare happening, it has to happen on a certain medium.
Is that how it's going to be in the future?
That is how it's going to be, and you won't see a
No
man.
boots on the ground.
No, not at all. Not at all.
At least not in first wave of...
We are already switching to unmanned warfare. AI warfare is a long thing to come, maybe another 5-10 years.
Okay.
With the ongoing wars, Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Gaza, now extended to other countries. We are already seeing unmanned aircrafts and loitering munitions playing a major role with your infantry and artilleries. The prominence of them have come down compared to this unmanned aerial dominance.
The first time I heard it was in the Armenia-Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Where was it Azerbaijan which bombed
Yes,
Armenia
yes, it is,
completely
yeah.
and just wiped, and that was all with Turkish drones, I believe.
Turkish drones. So the Bayraktar drones, they call it. So Bayraktar, they call it. Okay. So this company, I think, has minted a lot of money, and I especially respect these two countries, even though they're not giving anything to us, because two bankrupt countries, Iran and Turkey, today look at how they are dictating the unmanned warfare. A country like Russia is now depending on Iran.
On Iran for...
And Iran has its order book full from Russia. Now minting money like anything. And Iran is one country which is not scared of US, I can say. Because necessity is mother of invention, they say it, right? I mean, the country which is not so rich and was in some inflation type of... Today, they're able to mass manufacture all this, where they were able to manufacture their own engines, their own aerodynamic stuff, and the university, that company HESA, what are they doing?
And they actually make suicide drones, right?
Yes.
I mean, they basically ram those. That's what the Bayraktar are, or they are also...
Bayraktar is from Turkey.
I know,
it's a retractable aircraft.
Okay, so you go bomb and then you sort of come back.
So it's a medium altitude, long endurance aircraft.
Okay.
But Shahid, we have varieties of Shahids. I think 9 to 10
Shahid
variants
is
are there. Shahid is Iranian.
Okay.
And you have Shahid 136. Recently there was Shahid 136D, if I'm not wrong. In some parade they have shown. It can reach 4,000 kilometers. That's the range.
From Iran, that would also be... that could cover India as well, right?
4,000 kilometers, maybe, yeah. So, I mean, the drones are even replacing ICBMs. That's how I see tomorrow.
So Agni is 5,000 kilometers or whatever, right? So and now drones can reach 4,000 kilometers.
But only disadvantage on those drones would be that they are more of IC engine based. They are very cheaply built drones. That's one advantage as well. But since they are IC engines and they're more like a trucks, they keep moving very slow, 200-300 miles per hour, and nothing beyond that. It is easy to be taken down by a air defense of any country. But when you put them in mass, it's actually a technique where you ensure that your enemy loses all their missiles, where your drone is much cheaper than the missiles.
Which is what's happening in Israel.
Yes, that's what is happening.
What is the cost dynamics? I know in our conversation we were talking about this.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I was reading an article where the rockets launched by Hezbollah and Hamas are probably just a few $1,000s, while to bring down these cheap rockets, Israel has to lose billions of dollars in every mass attack.
True. So Israel could protect their country with the Iron Dome or whatever when the attack happened, and it costed them $1.4 billion.
In one event.
One event possible, and imagine 10 such happening. And what is the cost that Iran had to take? It's peanuts, right? I mean, they're able to manufacture each loitering munition of Shahid 136 roughly about $40-50K, and that's it. And mass 300-400, just dump it. And
Overwhelm the Iron Dome basically.
yes,
Overwhelm it.
yes, and the similar thing is happening in Russia, Ukraine. And now it has become a prank also, that you put them in mass because they are not so costly.
Yeah.
And whether there is a warhead or there is no warhead in it, the enemy has to take it down. You don't know what is there in it. And that's how you lose all your missiles.
Wow. So warfare is changing. So is India ready?
Definitely no. We're gearing up. I don't see all these big giants who have been trading all these years could do something for India.
Trading all these years?
Rafael, what did we do? We just traded. I mean,
We're just basically buying.
So there are certain Indian companies who would participate in the tender, probably buy it and trade it to the government of India. That's what we have been doing all these days instead of spending into R&D. So I watch for startups today because they're doing fantastic. Lot of startups in defense. And it is again sad to see that there's not even $1 billion company in defense in India. It might be a collective mistake of the industry, investors, government and everything.
We are too busy doing quick commerce. So tell me about a little bit of scenario playing of the future of warfare. You know, these drone swarms and how they could overwhelm. One is losing your missiles to them, but what damage could they cause? What do you think China is capable of? And
China is 1,000 times Iran, I can say.
okay.
And Israel is fortunate to have just Iran as their neighbor. But we have China as our neighbor. So which is 1,000 times Iran, powerful. Now, the entire production of say some 5,000 such unmanned aircrafts could be a one-day job for China.
Oh, wow.
And they're ready, they have mass manufacturing. And even today, 99% of the components for a small drone or small altitude drones, what I can say is less than 400 feet, which are mostly used for civilian use cases like be it agriculture, surveillance and stuff, comes from only China.
Oh, even our agriculture drones come from China.
Oh yeah, there is a drone called EFT-610P. That's the drone that is widely used everywhere.
Oh,
that comes from China. It
I
comes in
thought Indian
semi-knockdown.
companies were now manufacturing at least agriculture drones. No, we are not. We are still assembling, is it?
I might get a lot of backlash, but that's the truth. So EFT-610P is the agriculture drone. You would have seen some blue colored drones. It comes in various colors. Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is people are able to buy it in semi-knockdown condition or a complete knockdown condition, able to make a drone and sell it. But there is a challenge in this. One of the propulsion systems of that particular drone was changed from X6 Pro to X6 Plus by the Chinese.
Okay.
Upgraded. That was a 23-inch prop, this is a 24-inch prop. Now DGCA is not allowing you to sell the older versions because the newer version has to get the type certificate to be sold in India. Now the entire industry was stalled for about a year.
What madness is this?
Entire India could not supply 2,500 drones for about 1 year. Then what industry are we even
Because
talking about?
DGCA could not cope with the change in design or spec.
No. DGCA was ready to give the certification.
Okay.
But Indian industry could not get because Chinese upgraded their model and we had to bring a newer one and have to undergo the airworthiness process.
Which is by some body.
It
DGCA
is by
or
DGCA.
DGCA.
That's a tedious process. I mean, the nature of the testing itself takes that much amount of time. So, which means one of the components on your drone is going to change in China. Your industry is going to hit by 8 months to 1 year in the country. That's the state we are in.
Okay, and so that is in civilian drones. And the story would be so much more pathetic when it comes to military drones or
So Chinese would only give you something that might fly as high as some 400 feet, 1000 feet or 2000 feet.
that is all civilian uses.
Civilian use cases. But when you talk about defense, they are not stupid to give us something and
What
get
heights
hit
do we
from us
have?
back.
What heights do we have to go to for military uses?
So since we have a rugged topographies and Himalayan type of topographies in the north, we need anything which can operate 10,000 to 12,000 in 12,000 to 15,000 feet in most of the areas. But when we talk about Himalayan type of areas where high altitudes, we might need to push beyond 20,000 feet. And Indian Armed Forces are looking for something beyond 30,000 feet. That's why DRDO's Tapas could climb up to some 18,000 feet or 28,000 feet is what they claim. It was rejected because it could not claim 30,000 feet. But the problem is here, I don't know where who is at fault, either DRDO or the forces. Because DRDO says the forces are not able to take it because it is not going beyond 30,000, but we are able to go up to 28,000. But now beyond 30,000, it's called HALE aircrafts, high altitude long endurance. And now anything less than your 30,000 is MALE aircraft. Now you should know where to position your aircraft, whether it's going to be MALE or HALE. So you cannot try to push your MALE aircraft beyond HALE aircraft, because if you look at a standard atmospheric chart, after certain kilometers of altitude, pressure, density and temperature is changing. Right? So all your commercial aircraft might be flying somewhere at 35,000 feet. That's where you get some fuel advantage as well to fly at that heights. And medium altitude has also got such a strategic importance, where most of them, something below 100 meters, cannot be detected by radars, some of the radars.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
they are
you need some
tracking.
advanced radars to do it. So the loitering munitions that I was talking about, which Shahid, the Iran guys, they're using, it need not fly so high. Even though it has a service ceiling of about 4,000 meters, it need not fly so high unless it has to travel for so long.
Got it. And so, what is DRDO's and HAL's innovations? What is currently being made by them in the country, and where are they?
Okay, so this program started about some 2 decades ago in the country. They started with something called Rustum, and various terminologies and names have been changed. नामकरण बहुत बार हुआ था, तो एक ही आदमी का It's called alias. So रुस्तम alias, उसके बाद हो गया तपस हो गया. हाँ, उस 2 प्रोग्राम थे, रुस्तम 1, रुस्तम 2. तो तपस बन गया अभी.
So generally drones, unmanned vehicles are such, it's been going on for 20 years, and India has been trying to do things, but we've had no success, literally.
I mean, the first flight of all these are done, and they have shown fantastic results also. But somewhere we lack in positioning the aircrafts.
So whether HALE or MALE.
Male or male. And little more work on this, probably we could have achieved it. Because if we have come this far, we could have already achieved it.
I mean, this seems like just a positioning thing. So if it's not climbing beyond 28,000 feet, just say it's a medium altitude.
Yeah. But there is another issue to it, which is, for example, let us talk about an advanced platform that is carried out by DRDO, which is called Archer. Now, Archer is something that is imported as a kit into the country. It is aerodynamically proven aircraft, which we call it Long Easy. So the Bearcoot is the new version of it. So this Long Easy one are being imported, and autopilot is being installed. Control systems are developed here, and then it is made to fly.
So we are importing the aircraft.
Yes.
Are you saying?
Yes.
And then we are replacing the
I'm not saying, it is what it is.
This is what.
Yes.
So yeah, so we are importing the aircraft and replacing the manned part with an unmanned controlled
base. Yes. Yeah. The control
Essentially,
system.
that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
So the engine design, everything. This is how we are making our drones at this point.
Correct. So that's how we are making it. And question is, how many of them can we import? That's the problem.
So the design is also not ours of the unmanned.
No, it's a ready aircraft available, which is
so
being bought.
Rustam, Tapas, everything is imported.
Not
That's
everything. The Archer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is different from Rustam and Tapas.
Yeah, Rustum and Tapas. I mean, a lot of design changes happened over a period of time. They tried to do it, and Tapas eventually now they closed it off the platform.
Oh, so this is gone.
All of them are closed. Again, they have reinitiated the projects, I think, when Navy and Air Force wanted to give a try to Atmanirbhar stuff. And I think Navy was also doing some trials recently. Some 4 aircrafts is what they are trying to buy. We have to see where it goes. But again, the dependency on this would be the subsystems. Engines बाहर से ही लाना पड़ेगा.
क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग.
कावेरी का प्रोग्राम शुरू हुआ था, बट अभी तक आया नहीं है कावेरी इंजन्स.
वो कौन बना रहा है? HAL.
अगेन AD, DRDO, HAL सब मिलके बना रहे हैं यहाँ पे. So some 80s में शुरू हुआ था. I was not even born at that time. So and the thing is, even fighter jets की जब बात होती है, US already 6th generation fighter को release कर दिया, the new designs of it. We are saying that हमारा AMCA project जो आने वाला है, which is a 5th generation fighter, is going to come in 2035, and which is almost 2 decades we are behind the technology. And why are we even going for? I mean, ऐसा बोल रहे कि सब जब televisions बना रहे हैं, हम आत्मनिर्भरता से हमारा रेडियो बनाएंगे, ज़रूरत नहीं है रेडियो का, टीवी बनाओ ना कुछ, या उसका एडवांस सोचो कुछ. So that's how our thought process has been set. And another thing that I see is the system. एक स्क्रू भी बदलना पड़ता है इन लोगों को. They have to go through the hierarchy and lot of stuff. But startups का ऐसा नहीं, एजिलिटी बहुत होता है. आज मुझे लगा कि ठीक नहीं है, I'll scrap off and go up with a new design. That's one thing that private companies have got.
And so you are operating. How is the startup space? I mean, this is a very difficult area to be in. I mean, are they now allowing? I keep hearing of space tech companies coming in, and I didn't know that a company like you existed, which is making all these unmanned vehicles, and actually taken flights, tested, successful. Probably in a few months you will be break even. You have a big order book. I mean, that's amazing. All of this is now regulated. I mean, it's clear in the, or you run into these problems, bureaucracy, and what happens? How is the
I mean, when we talk about startup itself, as you know, you have been through a lot of startups, your company sold it off, like probably you are now investing also.
I mean, the easy space, no, software services, उसको 50 साल से लोग बहुत खुशी से beat करते हैं.
Any startup by itself is a very tough thing compared to regular employment or a sarkari job. So that too, it might be 1% might be the success rate of the startups, but I would say in defense it is 0.01%.
Correct.
So and till today we have not seen a defense company in India. I mean to say pure defense. अभी जो चमचा बनाते हैं ऑफिसर मेस में डिफेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, मैं उनको इंक्लूड नहीं कर रहा हूँ. प्योर टेक्नोलॉजी बेसिस का बात कर रहा हूँ. वी डोंट हैव अ $1 billion कंपनी इन इंडिया टुडे. व्हाई? आई मीन लॉट ऑफ यूनिकॉर्न्स ऑन द अदर साइड, क्विक कॉमर्स इन सब में, यहाँ पे नहीं है. सो it's very difficult to be in. First challenge was funding. Luckily, some angels supported us. I bootstrapped a lot of whatever I have earned in my life, probably in 2-3 years, I have put up. My first investor was my father. He supported me. Family supported me.
Hands off.
Yeah, and they were very supportive because startup itself was a tough thing. Now defense startup, they were scared. अभी क्या होगा इसमें? And a lot of investors at that time when I started 7 years ago, इन्वेस्टर कम्युनिटी में थोड़ा डर था कि what if government stand changes.
Correct. Regulation क्या है?
हाँ, they don't want to bet on something that is doing business with governments. Right. But now looking at the stability of the government and the Make in India campaigns that is being pushed by the government of India, many investors are coming forward now. And especially after this flight, until the flight itself we wanted a lot of money, but somehow we pulled it off with a lot of difficulty. I have to give all credits to my team, my CTO Prajwal Bhatt and all the main people who have done it. These guys worked for, including me, worked for more than 130 hours a week, and it was like a camp. तो पूरा aeronautical test range में वहीं पे थे हम. फिर हमारे ऑफिस में भी like we used to sleep there, we used to eat there, we used to take bath there, and फिर से चालू. And some people were complaining, I'm getting so much of headache. I have migraine myself. We have all messed up with our health, but only thing was that somehow we have to make it happen. So we have limited funds. Only thing that we can do is our efforts. Somehow we have come up with that. And we have certain angels who have really helped us in this. Now there are a lot of VCs coming in. So
Superb. And do you still run into government? I mean, how is this industry? Is the government allowing all this to happen? Innovation, this is critical for the nation.
yeah.
So aren't they trying to control everything that no HAL and DRDO will do things, or is it becoming easier? How is the regulation?
It's becoming much easier because you cannot rely completely on government-run missionaries, which government has very well understood.
They have understood.
They have understood. Okay. It is not because we don't have great resource in the PSUs or the research institutes. They are fantastic guys. And even Boeing and Airbus, if you see, there are a lot of Indians who are contributing well to it, even in Lockheed. So the thing is, how supportive the government here is, whether the license Raj is allowing you to operate here or not, was the thing. But now the ease of rule, relaxation of lot of licenses and things are being made, especially for startups which are trying to come into this, are being encouraged. Okay. But I still feel there are certain places where government has to still interfere and provide an opportunity for local content being manufactured. For example, I'll tell you the procurement process which is there between a foreign company and an Indian company. It is extremely, it's at extremes. For a foreign company, you pay 100% at once because they will not give you anything until you pay. Once you pay, the Indian government is begging them, please, de do. Predator, let us talk about Predator. It's been almost 2 years we have been trying to buy Predators.
Okay, from where?
USA. So the MQ-9 Reaper what we are buying, and 1,000 crores each aircraft we are buying today.
1,000 crores.
Crores, yeah.
Very nice. Okay.
It might involve a lot of subsystems and maintenance and various other things. 1,000 crores is huge. We are buying 31 aircrafts. It's a $3.9 billion deal.
Yeah.
And now let us talk about some startups, even though it is small drone or anything. For you to get the project, you might have to do something called NCNC, no cost, no commitment. You have to run behind the offices for 2 years, prove your product capability. And for all this to happen, there are no proper testing facilities in India.
Who the comes up with these ideas? NCNC, no commitment, no cost. ना पैसे देंगे, ना commitment देंगे, मगर काम करो, हमारे को मुफ्त में बना कर दो, और अगर अच्छा लगा तो हम यूज़ करेंगे, और उसके लिए भी हम भगाएंगे आपको इधर से उधर, grease करवाएंगे. Who comes up these bloody idiotic schemes? I just wonder in this government.
And that's the trend that's going on. And I have burnt about a couple of crores in my initial days, where I got a lot of backlash from investors. तुमको company चलाना नहीं आता है. You know, that's the only way. What can I do? How can I prove my strength? I give them demos. Now I talk about. Now they ask me high altitude में कैसे आपका performance होता है. For me to move my entire battalion from here to somewhere in Ladakh cost me 3-4 lakhs a demo. Who will bear that for a startup? And I have to give a number of demos for them to accept. And I need to get them military grade. So some JSS Pentafy standards and stuff.
Madness.
Yeah, and the certification program for that, for example.
Is it still not changed?
No,
This NCNC?
no, a lot of places. But there is one good policy brought in by the current government under the IDEX challenges.
Okay, what is this?
Innovation and defense. Something. Yeah. Okay. So in this IDEX, they are giving certain grants to startups. So under this, right from 2 crores to now there is something called Aditi, ADITI, new challenge. Aditi 2.0, they are giving up to 50 to 60 crores.
Okay.
This is the money that they have allocated. But again, if you ask me, make an aircraft in 50 to 60 crores, but you are buying each aircraft at 1,000 crores and you are giving R&D fund of 50, 60 crores.
Wonderful.
That's not possible.
ताली इस government के लिए.
So, but I feel happy because at least some initiative happened.
Yeah, okay, but you will make agriculture drones with this, but you can't do anything more than this, right?
So,
in this kind of money.
Correct. And under Make 1, Make 2, Make 3, there are various projects and there are emergency procurement processes that have come in, which empowers certain GOCNCs or certain institutes or nodal agencies to procure directly from either foreign party or a local vendor without any tendering process. There are certain rules and regulations for it, acquisition procedure. They can buy it off immediately. They can also give a grant under development, and the process will follow somewhere in between 52 weeks to 92 weeks. So you have to wait for 1 or 2 years. That is where we will lose out on the time, and we can't work like Sarkari companies. Right? We have investors to whom we have to answer.
Yeah, people you pay salaries to. You have some of the smartest people. Why should they keep working for you if you're not able to pay salaries to them?
Exactly.
And you're burning money. Where do you get that money from?
So that on time, the money is something very important, and that's how startups, it is very difficult for them to survive in this industry, because after 2 years of NCNC, मैं पूरा आपको ट्रायल्स दिखा दिया, आप एक कमांडिंग ऑफिसर हो, आपको अच्छा लगा, आप एक परचेस ऑर्डर दे देंगे इश्यू मेरे को, बट ये अपनी डिस्क्रिप्शन में देंगे, शायद हम 2 लाख 5 लाख 1 लाख 1 करोड़ का भी देंगे, लेकिन मेरा मोबिलाइजेशन फंड्स जितना होता है इसके लिए, उसमें आई एम नॉट एबल टू अर्न एनीथिंग, एंड आई हैव टू अर्न बिकॉज माई पीपल हैव टू बी हैप्पी, आई हैव टू पे माई एम्प्लॉयज़, एंड इस पे एडवांस नहीं मिलता है. यू विल हैव टू take financial help from somewhere, and startups will not get huge contracts even though they have technology, because they don't have the work experience or they don't have that much amount of bandwidth to make the project. Now my question is, why can't government help with that bandwidth? पैसा आप दे दो, अब देश के लिए तो हो रहा है. Technology is the key. It's not about एक जो कंबल बनाता है डिफेंस के लिए या यूनिफॉर्म बनाता है, उसके पास 1000 करोड़ हो सकता है, लेकिन क्या वो ये टेक बना पाएगा? नहीं. ये एक्सपीरियंस हैज टू बी इन बोथ द प्लेसेस. सो व्हाई डोंट यू कॉल इन वेयर अ प्लेटफॉर्म, यहाँ पे एक फाइनेंशियल बैंडविड्थ भी होगा, एक टेक्नोलॉजी बैंडविड्थ, दोनों मिल के भी कुछ कर सकते हैं. That's what we meant. That is not there. So finance cost of 14 to 15% चला जाएगा. Banks ही 12% लेती है. And debt or equity guys, you know how much they lose. Debt venture guys. So ये सब होने के बाद अब डिफेक्ट लाइबिलिटी पीरियड बोल के जो वारंटी एक्सपायर पीरियड होता है उसके लिए 10% पकड़ लेते हो आप स्टार्ट.
अच्छा, उससे पहले ही वो आप 10%
ले लेते हो. परफॉर्मेंस बैंक गारंटी एंड लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. तो बचा क्या? एंड देयर इज अनदर स्टूपिड सिस्टम इन इंडिया कॉल्ड L1 जो सबसे कम में देगा. हमारा सड़क हम देख रहे हैं, क्या सड़क की तरह ही ये डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट होना चाहिए क्या? नहीं. You need to buy the best for defense and you can't go with L1.
No, they'll buy the best at 1,000 crores from US. No.
So ये सिस्टम बदलने तक I don't think startups.
How did you wade through all of this and survive and manage? How? By putting 130 hours and sleeping, losing time, bootstrapping. जैसे शायद हमारा Mars mission गया था. जो movie बनती है.
There, one small incident I would want to share. I have few people who work in Agni missiles to various countries' rockets and missile programs. They are developing the control systems for my aircraft as well. And one small incident from that was, his name is Dr. Palanti Srinivas. So he was with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. In 1989, we were about to launch Agni 1, the DRDO. After success of ISRO, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was sent to set right the DRDO or DRDL. He took over as a chief. Then they were about to launch first intercontinental ballistic missile, Agni 1. There was a hydraulic leak, and the mission had to be aborted. The entire world laughed at us. Then what happened is this man, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, took that hydraulic leak, the part which was there was something wrong with that. He took it off, and along with this Dr. Palanti Srinivas and one more guy, they flew down to Trivandrum. They got the part machined.
They got the part?
Machined.
Okay.
And in 3 days, they went back. 4th day, they have done the assembly. 5th day, they have done certain tests. 6th day, they launched it successfully. And all of them slept on floors in the factory, including Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Now see, that's the integrity the man had. That's the intention that man had to somehow make that happen for the country. That's what is lacking in so many people today. And I take this as a beautiful opportunity, despite a lot of challenges in India, since there is a big market where Elon Musk wants to enter. That is something I am gifted. I am here. And despite the challenges, God has given me that intention to serve the country. And I feel it as a great opportunity. So somehow we'll overcome.
Wonderful. Rarely do I come across people like Suhas. I've seen many startups in my entrepreneurial journey, seen many people, including my conversations in Sangam Talks business, but rarely do you come across such grit. I hope it never gets to his head. You actually become very, very successful in what you're trying to solve. We have a very big challenge in front of us. So tell me a little now for the audience, if we can switch to your background. You told me you were a BTech. Can you share a little more of your background and how did this whole thing start?
Yeah. So I was into NCC right from my childhood. And I touched the gun at the age of 12.
Okay.
And that was a moment where I felt so happy. Oh, a kid I was, and I was in NCC, junior division. I started my firing practice and all. Eventually, I won medals in both junior division as well as senior division in my college. And a lot of patriotism I had, and my grandfather was born somewhere 1920s. So we lost him some 7-8 years ago. He used to teach us all the values, the struggle there had been and all those days. So that's how that patriotism was always there. And my dad is in a teaching profession. He encouraged me always to do all that. And after that, when I was in college, and my dad wanted me to become an engineer. I didn't have anything in mind what I have to become. But right from my childhood, I have a dream of becoming the Prime Minister. Yeah, I had a dream. So people would laugh, but dream is a dream. So in the process of becoming PM, somewhere I'll figure out to become MP at least. So the dream was always there. Then slowly, when IIT coaching and a lot of stuff, then my dad put me into that Narayana Skota, Chaitanya Narayana is very famous in. So I was in Hyderabad for 2 years, and that's where I met my co-founder, Mr. Prajwal Bhatt. So we were just friends, and from a long time, almost 14 years now. I did my engineering from VIT Vellore. IIT I couldn't crack because I बहुत बदमाश बच्चा था मैं तो. When I went out of home and hostel में था.
अच्छा IIT नहीं गए, नहीं तो कोई US जाके वहाँ पर बैठ के कुछ इलॉन मस्क के लिए कुछ काम कर रहे होते.
Maybe yes. तो VIT गया, then I was happy. I never regretted for anything in the life. उसके बाद BTech भी complete हो गया. Then armed forces में join होना था. 8 serious attempts दिया.
After college?
After college,
You did
during
8
my 4th year.
During your 4th year also?
After college also.
8 attempts,
8 attempts
for getting into the
Service
armed
Selection
forces.
Board. So the last attempt was in Bangalore. I still remember that. Selection Center South. Gateway to Armed Forces would be written. There would be one cannon outside that. I know the 8th attempt when I got rejected, I was sitting there with a heavy heart. What do I do now? There was one dramatic incident which happened in the boardroom during the conference. They asked me, "Gentlemen, what if we don't take you this time?" The standard answer, "I'll be coming next time, sir." What if we don't select you next time? "I'll keep coming until you select me, sir." So what's your backup plan for the life? "No, sir, I have not made any backup." How can you do like that? I mean, you should have a planning in life. Then you are not practical. Then I told, "Sir, had I found a backup, I would be into my comfort zone. Whether I get selected here or not doesn't matter to me. So my only intention was to serve in the armed forces. I didn't think about anything practical. It was not about career, life and something. This is service." Told, "Yeah, but I don't agree with your theory. I mean, everybody, even though all of us are in armed forces, सैलरी बंद कर दूंगा मैं सबका, कितने लोग बचेंगे आर्म फोर्सेस में? सो यू शुड हैव योर करियर, यू शुड हैव सम मनी फॉर योर सेल्फ एंड योर फैमिली. दैट्स कम्स फर्स्ट." "No, sir, I don't agree with your thing. I have a different view. Everybody's view can be different. So we might not be able to select you, gentlemen." So he was testing me. So मेरे को थोड़ा अंदर का सेल्फ रेस्पेक्ट बहुत हिट हो गया. 8 times have come. और क्या करना चाहिए? जिसी में था इतना पैट्रियटिज्म है, कुछ ना कुछ करना है. And they have their own methodologies to select. Maybe I would not have been fitting into that. They are not wrong. So then I got so angry. Like, ठीक है सर, no issues. Like, फिर क्या करेगा? तुम्हारा सपना ही रह जाएगा डिफेंस में जाने का. सर, मंत्री बन के भी तो आ सकते हैं. डिफेंस में ज्वाइन होना है तो देखेंगे सर, कुछ ना कुछ रास्ते निकल जाएगा. So walked out of the campus and I came out of service selection center. अब डायलॉग बाजी तो हो गया अंदर. अब क्या करें? Come from a middle class background. तो बैठ के अब देख रहा था what are the options in front of me. And college भी हो गया था, campus placement भी मना कर चुका था मैं. Then I started to do some research and about 2 years I spent in Indo-China border studying the gaps.
How did you get there?
ऐसे ही चला गया एक बार.
Permissions and all?
No, nothing. I didn't. किसी को जानता भी नहीं था मैं वहाँ पे. I just barged into offices. मैंने बोला मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं कुछ करना चाहता हूँ, मेरे को थोड़ा सा आपसे ज्ञान चाहिए. Tell me the practical challenges that you have. At the same time, army was undergoing a lot of changes, be it in the commands or be it अभी theater commands, lot of चीज़ें हो रहा है. At the same time, their acquisition procedures were changing and a lot of problem statements were coming up from the army technology bureaus, which was open to civilians, academia or industrialists. So वैसा कई चीज़ें हमने पकड़ा. उसमें से मेरा जो एक्सपर्टीज़ था, आई कॉट दैट एक्सपर्टीज़. एंड ये जो नेट सेंट्रिक वारफेयर एंड फ्यूचर ऑफ अनमैन्ड वारफेयर था, दैट वाज देन आई थॉट, ओके, व्हाट इफ आई डोंट गो ऑन द बॉर्डर्स एंड सर्व? व्हाट इफ माय मशीन्स कैन सर्व instead of me?
Beautiful. Thank God they didn't select you.
That was a very vague thought that I got. And for your information, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was also rejected by Indian Air Force.
Okay.
And then he went on to become the Supreme Commander of Armed Forces, becoming the President. And then Missile Man of India. And without him, I don't think we have something today like missiles, right? Then I thought, let us be of something bigger impact to the country, bigger significance to the country by doing something like Dr. APJ. That's when I went on to borders, learned. I worked small time works I've done with a lot of forces. Right? I've done some POCs with ITBPs, Indian Army. Then a lot of small works for police departments across the border, Sikkim, Arunachal and various places. In the meanwhile, I was working on this net-centric where we were able to prove up to 50 hops to armed forces. That was the first time ever that has been done in India.
Which is very complex. Suhas was explaining all this to me on this writing board, which is extremely complex, but if you can explain what 50 hops means and what net-centric to the audience a little bit.
Yes. So when we talk about unmanned warfare or AI type of warfare, where there is no human involvement or there is no human carrying a weapon and going onto the battlefield, for example drone, for example ship, for example battle tank, all these are connected on a network or on a medium, that I would say.
A peer-to-peer network, all of them talking to each other.
Talking to each other. Now,
Isolated from the rest of it, or are they all connected to some central systems?
it can be a centralized system and local systems within.
Okay.
So we named it hierarchical clustering protocols. I've designed a protocol in which there is certain hierarchy and the entire hierarchy looks like a wedge. That's how the name of the company came, Flying Wedge. Okay. So Flying Wedge was one of the war tactic as well that was being used in a long time. Yes. So that's how we made this. Now, in this net-centric warfare, imagine the entire border, the tough topographies that you have in the country, where like Himalayas, Siachen. The biggest challenge was to have a network first of all, which is like you don't have optical fiber communication to be put up, you don't have LTE or some other technologies to be there. How do you do the warfare? Second biggest challenge was about getting the throughput, and the third biggest challenge was about the power requirement. You can't put up substations, traction substations across such areas, which is very tough, and your DC systems might run out of the battery in like less than few hours or a couple of days. But how do we ensure, if the war is going on for months together or years now, Russia, Ukraine were 2+ years, how do we ensure such batteries come up? So there was a necessity to bring a platform. We named it a node. A node is a device that is connected to any of the element of the warfare. Like it can be soldier, it can be machine, it can be any machine, gun, tank, drone or anything. Now all of them being in a network, how do they communicate with each other? And your commander sitting in the base station some hundreds of kilometers away will be able to communicate using a secured protocol where some hacking techniques might be there, like node replication techniques, where the information, there can be a node that can be introduced into your network by an enemy where all your information can be pulled out. Similar thing happened with Hitler, right? The encrypted data. Hitler was one of the very first persons to use encryption during the World War II, and if that was decrypted, I mean, you will know the plans. Now the net-centric warfare, one way unmanned warfare reduces your human casualties, but it's a high-tech warfare where if enemy is able to crack your thing, your entire warfare is over. I mean, they will get the advantage of it. Now there is a necessity for this thing to be built up within the country and to be controlled someone by the country, and a robust system with security algorithms. So what we have done is, one is on the battery optimization part and the second one is on the security protocols part of it. I'll just give you one small security algorithm that I have implemented into this. One day I was sitting in a stadium playground and some crickets were doing a lot of sounds.
Tiddy. We call it in Hindi Tiddy.
Tiddy. तो ये मेंढक के साथ भी है, मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया था. हाँ, तो एक अलग तरीके का साउंड कर रहे थे सब मिलके, ज़्यादा ध्यान नहीं देते जनरली. उस दिन पता नहीं मेरा ध्यान उस तरफ गया, and I was sitting alone for some reason. I was thinking, and कुछ communication was happening, and there is certain level of consciousness with those lesser conscious beings. We have some language, they too have some communication codes, and एक तरह का patterns मैंने observe किया उसमें. Why can't this pattern be applied? तो दो चीज़ बताता हूँ. There are many more things included into this. जैसे एक हो गया, जैसे आप फ़ोन पे बात करते हो, समथिंग कॉल्ड TDMA, टाइम डिवीजन मल्टीपल एक्सेसिंग, जिसमें हर व्यक्ति का अपना एक अलग सा एक रूम बनाया जाता है जिसमें आपकी कम्युनिकेशंस होती है. सो इफ़ यू डिवाइड अ फ्रेम इनटू लॉट ऑफ n नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स, यू कैन टाइम डिवाइड कर सकते, मल्टीपल एक्सेस. नाउ सिमिलरली व्हाट वी हैव डन इज एक प्रोसेस रखा है हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग में. फॉर एग्जांपल देयर आर 10 नोड्स. एक टैंक है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, 10 है एक एरिया में, ओवर स्प्रेड ऑफ ओवर सम 50 किलोमीटर्स. इसमें कैसे बात करेगा एक दूसरे से? फॉर एग्जांपल समबडी हैक्ड इनटू योर नेटवर्क, तो उसको फिर भी कुछ भी नहीं पता चलना चाहिए, उसकी पैकेट्स ड्रॉप होनी है. कैसे करेंगे आप? तो एक ऐसा बायोमिमिकिंग से लिया हुआ टेक्निक था जिसमें सब कुछ बात करेंगे और एक लीडर से बात करेंगे इन द नोड, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ क्लस्टर हेड। अब वो क्लस्टर हेड कौन है क्या है, रैंडमली विद इन फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड्स चेंज होते रहेगा। वी हैव गिवन सम एल्गोरिथम्स लाइक फिजियोलॉजिक्स, जैसे डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द बेस स्टेशन से लेके पावर रेसिडुअल एनर्जी लेफ्ट, इसके ऊपर कई एल्गोरिथम्स हमने बनाए हैं। सो इट कीप्स चेंजिंग द लीडर। तो ये जो मॉलिशियस नोड एंटर होता है उनको पता नहीं होता है कि किसको रिपोर्ट करूं मैं, तो रैंडमली इट कीप्स सेंडिंग द पैकेट्स। तो नेटवर्क को पता चल जाएगा ये आउटसाइडर आया है, तो इट विल ड्रॉप द पैकेट इमीडिएटली। दैट्स वन वे ऑफ डूइंग। सेकंड थिंग, द सेम सिक्योरिटी प्रोटोकॉल कैन बी एक्सटेंडेड टू ऑप्टिमाइजिंग द बैटरी। जैसे सब एक बार बात करेंगे उसके बाद रुक जाएंगे, तो जो बाहर से आया वो बकबक करते रहेगा, पकड़ा जाएगा। तो ही डजंट नो द टाइम, ही डजंट नो व्हेन टू रेस्पॉन्ड। और पूरा एकदम आप फोन्स में देखे होंगे ना, जैसे फोन्स में एक स्लीप मोड होता है, सब स्लीप मोड में होती है अंटिल सम डिटेक्शन हैपेंस। फॉर एग्जांपल ए सेंसर, मैंने ग्राउंड सेंसर लगा दिया, प्रेशर सेंसर, अनलेस देयर इज सम इंट्रूजन, कोई चल के आया उस पर पैर दबाया तभी वो एक्टिवेट होता है, तब तक स्लीप मोड में होता है कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम्स।
लाइट सारी ऐसे ही काम
सिंपल
करती हैं
सिंपल
आजकल,
वेरी
सब
सिंपल।
smart
सो
lighting।
हाँ, वैसा हमने एक प्रोटोकॉल बनाया जिसमें सब एकदम स्लीप मोड में होता है। जैसे ठक करके एक जगह से डिटेक्ट हो गया, एवरीथिंग विल नॉट स्विच ऑन। जो रूटिंग एल्गोरिथम है, प्रोटोकॉल है, उसी रूट में जाएगा। एंड वी आर ऑप्टिमाइजिंग द कंप्लीट कम्युनिकेशन रिक्वायरमेंट, कंप्लीट पावर रिक्वायरमेंट। तो हमने ऐसा नोड बनाया जो 30 दिन तक चला, 2 दिन से लेके, and this was proven by armed
On the
forces.
same battery which would perhaps last a few hours or so.
Oh, it's not even very big. That is somewhere about, एक ड्रोन का हमने लगाए थे बैटरी, एंड सही कई सेंसर सिस्टम्स के लिए लगाए थे। It went on till 30 to 32 days if I'm not wrong, and that was less than 10,000 mAh. Nothing very big, very small battery, camouflage system kept within the ground. वो एक ब्रेक थ्रू था। एंड सो सच नोड्स जितना भी होता है, इट्स पेटेंटेड।
And in these patents, can international companies, I don't know, in defense, can they break it? Can they steal things from what you've done? Can these patents, because when filing a patent, you have to disclose a lot of information.
करेक्ट। सो वी आर नॉट फाइलिंग इट एनीवेयर, एंड मेरे को ऐसा शौक नहीं कि ऐसा जो कॉम्प्लेक्स सिस्टम्स होता है वो जाके बाहर यूएस को बेचे, यूरोप को बेचे, बहुत सारा खूब सारा पैसा बनाए।
But patent का तो मतलब यही हुआ ना, unless you're only filing in India.
बट जब तक हम उनको सोर्स कोड देंगे ही नहीं, जब तक हम उनको एल्गोरिथम बताएंगे ही नहीं, तो इफ दे themselves will do it, I don't have a problem. But I myself will not go and file a patent there where I disclose all my things that can be used for their own state's benefit. So I do not do that. I am giving only to Indian Armed Forces and nobody else. But yes, if you are talking about certain hardware things like, some devices like drones, aircrafts, I am okay to sell them to another countries. But something sophisticated like this, where my blood and soul has gone into developing something for the country, will stay only with the country and will not go out.
Thank you, Suhas, for doing what you're doing. Do you want to talk about your, how you are solving the financial challenges with, during our conversation, you talked about LCR and how you're helping create an ecosystem, how you've got some companies together to solve, because also the angel or venture capital ecosystem in the country is not suitable to large investments that defense companies may require. So you've hacked this whole thing and bootstrapped it to solve it. So would you like to share a little bit?
Yeah. So again, when as you pointed out, the VCs and various other investors coming in, now this valuation games जो चलता है अभी आजकल, तो डिफेंस कंपनी में तो ये सब नहीं चलता है। They see the value, and उसके बाद भी इन्वेस्टमेंट लाना बहुत मुश्किल है। And if you look at my company, when I started off, it was so small that अभी $1 million में पूरा कंपनी बिक जाता शायद। अब मेरे को समवेयर 12 to 15 million की रिक्वायरमेंट थी एक स्टेट ऑफ आर्ट फैसिलिटी बनाने की। अब ये मैं कहाँ से लाऊंगा, मेरा कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन ही इतना नहीं था उस टाइम पे। तो देन आई थॉट लेट अस क्रैक इट अदर वे, एंड ऑल्सो दैट अगर एक फ्लाइंग वेज ही इसको बनाता है, there might be lot of forces that can stop Flying Wedge because we are very small. Correct. And lot of sabotage attempts happened within the country while we were even doing our Pokhran में testing जब कर रहे थे. There were lot of sabotage attempts happened. That might happen here also, because See, today what we are doing might not be a world-class system. I mean to say, not about this net-centric software. I'm talking about the aircrafts and stuff. But we have just started off. The thought itself is scary to Westerners.
Of course it is, and will be certainly to China.
Yeah, and that will be scary to China. Yes. Because if these guys, slaves, start to think on their own, where are we going to sell our arms? Yeah. Whom are we going to sell our arms and make millions of dollars? तो जैसे एक लॉकहीड बैठा है, नॉर्थरॉप ग्रुप बैठा है, ये सब कहाँ जाएंगे? तो हमको ही बेचना है लाके. एंड ऐसा भी नहीं है कि हमको B2 बॉम्बर देंगे क्या? नहीं देंगे. जो उनको लगता है कि
F-16 मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर देंगे, which is like 30 years old technology.
Correct, that's it. तो highly sophisticated stealth technologies, they don't give it to anybody. Of course. तो हमको भी नहीं देंगे. तो हम क्या state of art की बात करेंगे? तो we have to start off. That's where we thought, let us start doing it here. When I entered this industry, I observed one thing, that high dependency on China. Very high dependency, as high as 99%. So कुछ ऐसा canopies change करके drones भेज देते थे. तो एयरक्राफ्ट की बात आती है तो एयरक्राफ्ट तो बनते ही नहीं इंडिया में. जो एक एयरक्राफ्ट बना इंडिया में तेजस, वो भी असेंबल्ड है. जी का इंजन है, गाइडेंस नेविगेशन एल्टा का है, सब इधर उधर का कंपोनेंट्स लाके हम असेंबल करेंगे. बट लुक एट द लीड टाइम, कितने साल लग जाएंगे आपको एक एयरक्राफ्ट डिलीवरी करने में. अब वहाँ तक एयरफोर्स क्या करती रहेगी? ऐसे बैठी रहेगी, या दे हैव टू गो फॉर राफेल और F-16 टू हैव देयर डिमांड्स मेट. So then we thought, अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करूँगा तो क्या करूँगा? अब पैसे नहीं है, कोई देने वाला नहीं है, because nobody trusts me. I am a small guy entering the industry. Then I went to this Electronic City Industries Association. There's a gentleman by name Bal Subramani, who is chairman of TESCOM. Nice gentleman, and I would say he's my mentor also. And he runs this TESCOM company where he manufactures VVPAT and various electronic component manufacturing. So I asked him, sir, any possibility of collaboration on the manufacturing part? There are a lot of stalwarts. There's a gentleman by name Sitaram. He runs a company by name Synthesis. This company makes motor winding machines and sells to China. Now those Chinese use that machines, make motors and sell it to us. The propulsions, what we call. Then I've identified all these people, and we requested, sir, your experience in manufacturing would help us a lot. Why don't you help us? But these are all manufacturers, not product company. Now there is a requirement of a product company like Boeing or Airbus, who can give them certain designs and they will manufacture it, the best in class product they can give you, but you need to have the technology. Then we thought, okay, it is the time we have to start a Lockheed Martin or beyond for the country. That's where the thought came from, and I pitched it to these guys. And this LCA is a body which is called Electronic City Industries Association. Huge companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Tech Mahindra, all part of this. I pitched to their board. They were very interested in it. And then there was an existing factory with them, which had to be, what do we call it, repurposed or reconfigured for making it an unmanned aircraft manufacturing hub, which they have done it. And they have extended the facility, a lot of stuff. We gave the list of missionaries.
It was an existing factory with capex and all of that, which you've now repurposed to produce, and through a consortium of companies.
Through a consortium of companies. Now one develops a stator, one develops a rotor, one develops complete assembly of motor, one develops stampings, one develops electronics.
All the innovation is not on you, and all the target of sabotage attempts is not on you alone.
Oh yeah,
because it's a diversified.
Now it's
set
the
of
industry
companies.
taking the risk. And
Brilliant work.
Thank you, sir. Now it's not just Flying Wedge that grows. The entire ecosystem in the India grows, and lot of companies get benefited. And I'll be happy if all of us together can supply to the whole world. And there is a dream that I see. The dream is to, somewhere long ago we have done a mistake of not taking the Security Council seat. So I want India to take this as an opportunity. अब मेल टेक्नोलॉजी क्रैक हुआ है इंडिया में जो सस्ता में बना सकते हैं. Why don't you sell it off to countries? What US does, do the same thing, but not to exploit the country, but to protect their sovereignty. Yes. India ये कर सकती है, and definitely it can become the Vishwa Guru, what our Prime Minister says.
Yeah, that's only a slogan at this point in time, but hopefully people like you will change this and make us truly that.
Thank you, sir.
Suhas Tejaskanda. He carries the name Skanda, which is where he gets it, the general of the Devas. And more power to you, and may you get more blessings from Kartikeya.
Thank you, sir.
to take this your work forward. I've really enjoyed this conversation and meeting you. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Do leave comments and see his website. If any of one of you are patriots and have money, please, if Suhas is raising money for his startup, go invest. Please invest in other defense startups. Finally, money is a tool. If it doesn't come to use for greater purposes, it's worth nothing. With that, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Suhas.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.